All excited.
I'm so hyper right now.
Yeah, your eyes are watering. You look manic. Because you had taping today.
I had a callback.
That's why you look like this.
That's why I look like
A demented housewife.
a lady president.
Oh, is that what you meant to look like?
No, I was meant to look like a demented housewife. Absolutely. Yep. And this Jack in the Box Oreo shake isn't helping my
sugar
hyper levels.
Your eyelashes look so nice. It's actually stressing me out.
My eyelashes with these fakes look like what yours look like all the time.
Oh, for God's sake.
So annoying.
Don't be ridiculous.
Well, it feels like I haven't seen you in a month because we did a remote recording last week. Last week was about home.
Yeah.
And we asked people to write in and tell us about their homes.
Yeah.
And about their routines.
Yeah.
And we got some amazing things.
And we shared them. We made a highlight on the Instagram page if anybody wants to go and have a look. Thank you everyone for interacting with us.
Yeah, I got some really great new ideas.
Did you?
Yeah. Can't remember any of them right now, but I did.
I loved everything.
Are you going to talk about staying in this house?
Yeah, we can talk about that. After we put that podcast out last week about home and I talked about leaving and everything, I kind of listened back and realised I wasn't exactly quite ready yet. And again, it's just me forcing myself into a situation. And obviously I'd said to you that's the financial implications of it mostly that are pushing me to leave. If it wasn't that, I wouldn't be rushing out. So I think what I'm going to do is a couple of friends are going to come and move in until the end of the lease, which is in a few months. And that gives me time to kind of trickle out. And maybe they'll take over because they love it here and they're musicians. And it means as much to them as it, it's different, but it means a huge amount to them as well. So
you're staying!
Yeah, for a little bit longer.
That's great.
And it gives me time to build the she shed, and it just gives me time so that the house isn't ripped away and then I don't have a space. And that's what started freaking me out, was that I was thinking to myself, okay, so the house goes and then where is my personal space? Well, there wouldn't be one.
Mm-hmm.
And that really began to make me feel a bit freaked out. So this works for all of us. The friends that are moving in need a few months to figure out what their next moves are as well, because they were all intertwined with Max and Ryan. One of them was being managed by Ryan. You know, they were both being produced by Max and their projects were being developed by Max. So we're all kind of in this limbo phase right now. So I think it makes sense for us all to kind of hunker down and kind of figure out what's happening next.
Well, I'm happy because my piano's here, so
yeah.
I don't have to put it in storage yet.
Yeah, it gives you a few months to do that. So that's been interesting, and it was in the back of my mind as an idea, and it was something that we had all talked about and joked about, but then this week we kind of thought, we're talking about it, we want to do it, so why don't we just do it? There's no reason not to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad you'll have that extra time to get used to the idea of leaving.
Yeah, very much so. And also I like it because the rumpus room is going to be my friend's room. So it makes me have to start.
Right.
And it gives me a focus of where to start so I can practice disassembling.
Yeah, you can disassemble that one room.
And it gets me used to it.
And that's also good because that wasn't any of Ryan's stuff in there.
Yeah, exactly. It's all mine. And so, yeah, it just feels good. It feels the right thing to do. And it just makes me go, okay.
Good.
I can get my head around this.
Good. I feel better too.
Good. I felt like I was tumbling downhill or something.
I don't know why I feel better, but that makes me feel better too. Well,
bouncing off of trees and going, oh,
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to be.
Anything exciting happened this week?
No.
Great.
No, nothing. Been really, really...
Great. See you guys next week.
No. No, actually, one good thing that I did this week that felt like progress, as well as making the decision about the house, was I saw one of Ryan's artists and her manager. I saw Faouzia and her manager Tim, and they were dear friends too.
Faouzia is amazing. She
Faouzia
just
is amazing,
did
yeah.
that duet with John Legend.
Yeah, and they dedicated the video to Ryan, which
Yes.
was really, really...
It was called Minefields.
Yeah.
That's an amazing song. If you guys haven't heard it yet, we'll post the link to the video, but it's called Minefields.
Now this might be a mistake that I'm calling you this late, but these dreams I have of you ain't real enough.
Started bringing up the past, how the things you love don't last, even though this isn't fair for both of us.
Ooh, maybe I'm just a fool. I still belong with you anywhere you are. Ooh, these minefields that I walk through. Ooh, and I risk to be close to you. Ooh, these minefields keep me.
And they dedicated it to Ryan, and they put a link for the Harmony Project, which is the charity that we chose to honor Ryan with, who serve underprivileged children in Los Angeles and other places to provide them with music education.
Incredible.
So they raised a huge amount of money through that video for the Harmony Project. So obviously really, really pleased about that. And they're just good people.
So you saw her?
I saw her, and it was so interesting. I really wanted to see her, and she's one of my favourite people that I've known through Ryan. And I wanted to do it. I committed to it. I'm much better if I commit ahead of time with plans.
Mm-hmm.
If I've realised, if it's like, okay, let's check in on Wednesday, I'll hide from it and I won't check in. And I'll just hermit or cocoon. Is more what it is. And so I made the plan with her, and I knew she was coming from Canada, so I couldn't dilly-dally around. And even up until truly the hour before, I was trying to rationalize with myself why I should bail.
I know, you texted me.
Yeah. And I wanted to bail so badly and hide away. And I didn't. I went. I could just hear Ryan. As though I could feel him pushing me. It was like I could feel his hand on my back, pushing me. And I'm really glad I went. And it was really, really good to connect with them. And, you know, it was really emotional. Really, really emotional.
Was that the first time you'd seen her since Ryan died?
It is the first time I've seen her, yeah. And it's the first time I've seen anyone from Ryan's work life. So that's been weighing on me as well, because he had such a huge life.
And for those of you who don't know, Ryan was in the music business.
Yeah, so Ryan worked at Atlantic Records, and that's how he and I met, because he was my product manager on my record that I put out there. And that's how we met and fall in love. And so
he had many artists that he worked with.
And he knew people, you know, all over the world, all over every coast, everything. And his net was spread really, really wide. So as a result of that, his network is huge. And there are so many people for me to connect with and check in with that at times it feels so overwhelming. I don't know where to start. So I felt like I started this week. And it wasn't so bad. It wasn't so scary. It was a gentle, loving, kind, nurturing experience, which has made me feel as though I can face more people and make the connections that I want to make with Ryan's dear friends who he loved, who he worked with, and for many years since he was a boy, basically.
Yeah.
You know, and I want those people in my life, and I want to be connected with them. It just feels scary. So now I've broken that seal, and that was really, really good. And I think it made me realize that I'm still carrying massive feelings of humiliation.
Really?
And,
why?
Yeah. The whole thing just feels humiliating to me. I don't know. I talked about it in therapy this week, and
That was old Jeff.
Jeff, he's good. God, I love him. And what am I going to do when he dies? I think about it all the time.
All right. Is Ratty still alive?
She is. We don't know how, but she is, yeah.
Jesus.
But Basically, the humiliation and
Why
vulnerability.
humiliation? I don't understand.
I don't know. I just feel... I don't know. I can't exactly explain it to you. It feels so vulnerable, the whole thing, that I feel so exposed and so... like as though people are looking at me going, oh God.
Like pitying you?
In a way, but I don't really connect with that whole thing about not wanting to be pitied. It's more of it's a rawness feeling of feeling exposed and feeling as though, God, people must be thinking, what a disaster or something. And, you know, my life was so crazy before, and then I got this life sorted and was on a track and on a path and settling down, and now this happens, and this, I feel, humiliated in some way. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, and Jeff just said to me, what did he say? Well, he just said, that's your ego. You know, no one's thinking that. No one's thinking, oh, what a fool she is. Mm-hmm. And then the other feeling I had was, which I realised when I was with Faouzia and Tim, was wanting to protect everyone. That feeling coming up again of me just wanting to protect Faouzia, and she's young, you know, she's 20, and I just started crying, saying, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, you know, Ryan would never have wanted this, and I just don't want you to be exposed to this, and I wish I could usher everyone away from this situation. But I can't any more than anyone can for me. You know, it's a protective feeling. And as a wife as well, I want to tidy it up for him and make it all better for him. He's made a mess. It's not his fault. It was an accident. But as his wife, I want to make it all better for him. Mm-hmm. You know, and I can't.
And everyone else.
And I can't. I want to protect him by protecting them from the unsightly situation.
What did Faouzia say to you?
She just cried and held me and said, no one is expecting that from you, and we're okay. This is life. This is what happens in life. So it was nice to hear her say that, because she is young and, you know, she's so pure. She's a very pure person in the true sense of the word. A good, very good person. And so everything she said to me brought my anxieties down about all of it. So it was really positive. It was heavy, but it was positive, and a bird pooed on us.
Oh.
Yeah.
It always tells you that you're on the right. It was Ryan checking in.
That's what I thought. I was like, really? Can I not just have this moment in private? Do I need to get shit on as well?
Did you both get shit on, or just one of you?
Did. We both got shit on.
Oh.
It was sprayed. So anyway, so that was my week. But anyway, I'm much more interested in talking about you, quite frankly, this week.
My week.
Because and then also last weekend. And you perform at a mass every year.
I perform at a church service every year. On a private island.
Yeah.
I know that sounds insane, but how do I say this simply? My family's very involved with the Channel Islands of California.
Yeah.
Catalina is the most well-known. Mm-hmm. There's 8 of them. Have you ever been?
I went to Anacapa.
You did?
Yeah.
Nobody goes to Anacapa. How did you go to Anacapa?
Well, because I was at surf camp for many years. I would come to Santa Barbara as a child and go to surf camp.
And they would take you over?
And we went over one time. No, that was when I was at aqua camp. Uh-huh. So I did surf camp when I got a bit older, but when I was younger, I did aqua camp. So we went to Anacapa to the kelp forest that was sitting there.
Did you go in the water?
And we got to go in. And
hell no.
I know, we went in, and I remember swimming through the kelp and being so excited but spooked out. Just like there could be anything around the corner.
I hate the ocean.
Honestly felt like I was Ariel in The Goddamn Little Mermaid. I was living for it. swimming through kelp. Maybe a seal's gonna come up to me. An otter. Oh god, I loved it. Freezing
So
cold.
have you even been to Catalina?
I've been to none.
That's hilarious that of all the islands, you would have been to Anacapa. That is the most remote island. Most people have been to Catalina. Anyway, there's 8 of these islands that go up the coast of California. My godmother is the president of the Channel Islands Foundation.
Okay.
And my dad is the president of the board of one island in particular. And I'm getting ready to take over one day. So I'm learning the ropes and starting to attend meetings and get involved with this and that. And there's nothing on this island except a ranch in the middle with a little chapel.
Mm-hmm.
And my parents were married there, and I was baptized in this chapel.
My God.
The chapel was built in the late 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
And every May 3rd, there is a Catholic holiday called the Feast of the Holy Cross, I think it is. And for the past 60 years, without fail, they have had a church service in the chapel to keep it consecrated. And for the last 30 years, my dad has done the music for the service. And for the last 10 years, I've done the music with him.
Yeah.
So it's even built into his touring schedule that this date has to be free.
Available, yeah.
And so we did. I usually...
What types of people go to this event?
Bazillionaires.
So this is... Okay, so as an outsider, I'm seeing you go off to this island.
In a helicopter.
To do a religious ceremony with some elites. And I'm thinking... my mind is going to all my favourite places. You know, I'm thinking Illuminati. I'm thinking... cult, I'm thinking human sacrifices, I'm thinking, is there magic happening? I'm thinking, you know, my mind is going there.
No, it's a lovely bunch of people. It's many people that are scientists and archaeologists, professors, people in the entertainment industry.
How many?
Well, usually there's 200 people that attend.
Okay.
This year, because of COVID, there was only a handful of people. It was very, very private, basically just to keep the church consecrated.
So it's only the cream of the crop. Yeah.
It was the innermost sanctum this year. And
I am going to grill you about this.
I know, I don't have any dirt for you.
When I'm not recording, I'm going to go in so hard on you and you can't leave this house
It's
until
not
you tell
as
me
juicy
everything.
as you'd like it to be. Aside from the Illuminati thing that you're completely making up yourself.
Yeah, aside from that, in my mind, you are a member of the Illuminati and that's what the service is every year.
Yeah.
Really, what I want to talk about is what the fuck happened with your dad. Because...
Yeah, so this year was interesting because I hadn't seen my father in a while, and there were some things that we needed to chit-chat about. And so it made for an interesting time, but it ties in with what I wanted to talk about. No, I'm going to tell you. I'm just saying it ties in with what I wanted to talk about this week with you anyway.
I thought we were just already going...
Just brushing past.
Like, just
glossing over that one. Well, it brings me to this. There's a quote I heard recently that's been on my mind. It goes like this. Over-explaining yourself comes from a deep fear of abandonment. The thing that got me thinking about that quote is actually the podcast, because I'd listen back and I'd hear myself, and you know we all hate to hear ourselves speak.
Yeah.
It's painful. But what I would hear in myself is that I over-explain everything. I'll say one thing 5 ways.
Right.
And I couldn't understand what that exactly was until I read that quote. Over-explaining yourself comes from a deep fear of abandonment. And I thought, I want to work on that. I want to look at that. I want to observe that in my life. So when I got to the island and I saw my dad for the first time in a long time, I felt all this stuff come up.
I'm sure, yeah.
Of wanting to over-explain myself and kind of fall into him. Because what I've always done is taken on all of his energy and tried to fix him, tried to make him okay, tried to save him. And I have done a lot of work on that. And this was the first time seeing him since then.
Right.
So it almost felt like a test that I had to pass.
Yeah, it was.
And I had to lay off myself and go, no one's grading you.
Yeah.
Just do your best and see what happens. And I felt it start, and I would just start to over-explain, and I'd have to catch myself and go, no, boundaries. We're not doing that. You're not going there. And I did it so much that by the end of the 2 days, I've been in bed.
Yeah, you're exhausted.
For 4 days.
Yeah.
I was so mentally and emotionally exhausted from having to.
Yeah, I mean, it's the race that you were preparing for the last few months. And
and I felt I faltered a couple times, and I got ashamed of myself, and I got really down on myself. And then I just had to keep reminding myself. And you had called me the day before I went and really gave me a wonderful pep talk just about remembering my own power. And it was in my brain. It really helped me. So I would catch myself and pull myself back and get myself on. It was almost like, this is a really weird image that just came to my mind. You know, on the iPhone where you have the panoramic?
Yeah.
And you have to take it all the way around, and you have to keep the arrow on the line.
Yeah.
I would go way down under the line, and I'd have to bring it back up and get it on the line again. It's exhausting after a while.
Yeah.
To stay on that straight line for yourself.
It's exhausting to put your work to practice and be tested so intensely over a 24-hour period.
Because there was no one else there. It was just us in a cabin.
But also, in you being so present in that, realizing truly, deeply how much you've been doing that and for how long. And, you
mean how long I've been having no boundaries?
Yeah, and how long you've been doing that.
I have to save you, help you,
and also save you, help you, and also make you love me. That's
and be perfect.
Thing with your dad.
Over-explain myself.
Yeah,
that's the over-explaining.
How many ways can I say it so that one of the ways I'm going to say it, you're going to get it, and then you're going to love me?
That's it, Annabelle. That's the over-explaining.
Yes.
Because when I'm speaking and repeating myself in different versions of the same thing, if there's a pause, say for instance on our podcast, and you're looking at me, I'll fill that pause with, because I want that feedback.
Yeah.
And there's another quote that goes with this one that also helps. It says, normalize this. I'm not looking for feedback.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for feedback, and I don't need to over-explain myself.
No.
I'm fine the way I am.
Yeah.
So this podcast, selfishly, for me, I was really excited, especially this week, to practice this.
Yeah.
That's the joy of this podcast. The selfish reasons for doing it is week after week, we get to come back and dive deeper into these things. And hopefully everyone listening goes along for that journey themselves.
Yeah, I mean,
these are universal things.
You and I are always texting each other after the edit and going, God, that thing that I do is so annoying, or that thing that I say. The other week when I realized how much in that episode I kept saying all the time.
You lost your mind about your likes.
I was mortified. I was so embarrassed.
You almost canceled the whole podcast.
I was cancelled my life.
Not just that episode, I mean the entire podcast.
I just wanted it to end. So, and we have those things. And we learned a lot from doing this. And I think that it's really good, like you said, to put things into practice. And you do need to practice that. It's something that can only be learned, unfortunately, as you've just experienced, by doing it in the situation and becoming exhausted by it until you master it. And there was no one else around. And every time you had to do it, it was a reminder to yourself that you've been doing this your whole life. And then I'm sure there's shame attached to that, and there's pain attached to that, because why have I had to do this my whole life? Why can't I just be good enough for my dad the way I am? Why can't you? You know, this whole thing. Of course it's fucking exhausting. Of course you've been in bed.
But I couldn't be in bed because I had this massive audition.
Yeah.
Oh, so that brings me to another point about this over-explaining yourself thing. No accidents. Very interesting that overlapping the island trip, I've had this series of auditions for this one television job that I'm hopefully going to get. And it showed me why I love acting and why I gravitated towards it when I was little, I think, is because as an actor, I have a script. I have words that have been written for me. So I don't need to over-explain myself.
Yeah.
So it deactivates that chip
Wow.
that's in my brain, and it's a relief. It feels like freedom. It's a safe place for me to just be.
Yeah. Wow. Most people, I think, probably have the opposite experience of acting, where they get to escape, you know, into another thing. But it's
no, for me, it's about being present with myself in a way where I don't need any validation.
Okay, so let's go back to the no, come on, because we went off on this tangent. Okay, so the start of the trip is, wait, let's go back to the very beginning.
Okay,
so
I'll tell as much as I can.
As you can, yeah. So there was a bit of a misunderstanding at the beginning, which has been happening to both of us, where you thought that, well, it was maybe that you were going to have to be vaccinated to attend.
Yeah, the jab.
The shot in the arm.
Yeah, I was, yeah. So there's something happened with the shot in the arm where basically, this is so hard to say.
It's hard to explain, yeah.
Here's the bottom line. I don't feel that the COVID shot in the arm is right for me personally. Yeah. And I'm choosing not to get it.
Yeah.
I have been nothing but bullied since I made that decision.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
By multiple people.
Yeah, I get a lot of flack for it as well, because I'm not ready to take the vaccine just yet. It's not because I don't believe that it can work.
No, I
don't believe that it's going to be a great tool. But personally, for me, intuitively, or instinctively, my reaction is, I don't know what the long-term effects of this are. And
nobody does.
And for that reason, I don't feel comfortable just yet getting it. I want to get the vaccine and I want to be vaccinated. I have all of my other vaccinations, can I just say?
I don't. I'm missing a few.
But, you know, and here's the thing. I really resent so much being treated like I'm crazy, that I'm some anti-science, anti-vaxxer, crazy person, because I'm saying I'm going to practice the CDC guidelines we've had up until this point, as I have been for the last year. And when I know what the long-term effects of the vaccine are, then I will take the vaccine. I just don't want to be a part of an experiment. And I'm not saying that to be salacious or dramatic or anything. There is no other situation in which I would go off to the doctor for something, and the doctor would say to me, there's this shot I can give you. We're not really sure about what's going to happen long term with it, but so far it seems fine.
And only 8 people under 30 have had brain clots.
Or, you know, or whatever. You know, I don't... I don't know all that stuff. I know that the number, it's equivalent to blah 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 blah. You know, we all know the facts that we read, the facts that we read in the newspaper or whatever, the data that is given to us. But as we've also learned for the last year, the data changes constantly.
Well, vaccines are a guessing game. They're just trying to get as close to it as they can, but they don't know how to hit it head on.
People have to take the vaccine in order for us to know. But here, if I knew I wasn't going to have children, which I don't, I may want to have children.
And I'm about to think about that, which is all the more reason for me to make up my own mind. Thank you very much.
Until we know. I don't know if I'm going to have children yet. If I was in my 40s or above, if I was at risk, if I was all of those things, I would take the risk of getting the vaccine. Mm-hmm. I see the vaccine as a risk, as much as a risk as COVID.
I see it as more of a risk than COVID at this point for our age group.
So, and for our health and all of those kinds of things, we are young, healthy people. And if I was all of those things, I've encouraged my mother to get it, my sister, and I'm like, great, I'm so glad that you've got it.
Me too.
I want them protected if it does its job, you know, and it's showing that it's stopping people from going to the ICU
and it makes people feel better.
Makes people feel so much better and safer, and it means that we can open up and all of those things. Anyone who's older, anyone who doesn't want to have kids or isn't having, you know, all of those things. If you're disabled, if you're at risk,
that's what it's meant for.
Go get the bloody vaccine. I want people to do what they want to do.
Me too.
But Lucy, can I just ask you, is it my body and my choice or not?
I believe it is. And I believe that ties back to our Live and Let Live episode.
Don't tell me my body, my choice if I want to get an abortion or not. And then turn around in a situation like this and tell me it's not my body, my choice. You're either for that or you're not. Mm-hmm. And I'm not discouraging people. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying I have no judgment towards it. I want people to get it.
If it's their right body, their choice.
Their body, their choice. I just don't want to be treated like I'm crazy because I don't want to try an experimental medication.
Exactly. And I had 5 instances this week, in 1 week, where I was bullied about it, to be made to feel crazy. like a selfish, evil, just killer. And it's not okay. It's not an okay question to ask me, and it's not okay to widen your eyes and gasp when I tell you I'm not.
You don't think it's appropriate for someone to ask you about the vaccine?
Not at all.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't feel that way, but I can here's what I mean.
There's no
other thing I would ask. I'd never ask somebody about medicine.
No, it's fine. It's fine to ask, but here's what they've done. They haven't asked me. They've gone, so when are you getting vaccinated? Have you been vaccinated yet?
Yeah.
And I go, no, I'm choosing to not get vaccinated. And they go, what?
Yeah.
And then it starts.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. The question's fine.
Yeah.
Are you getting vaccinated? But they're not asking that. They're assuming that you are.
I don't even think it's an assumption. I think there's this really interesting tone with people.
It is a tone.
Where it's, like you said, so when have you, or there's always a little extra little thing in the statement that is,
have you done your duty?
Your civic duty.
Have you done your duty to your fellow people? And then it
or
goes...
thing about science. That's the one I get a lot, is like, yay for science, or thank God for science. I just know from what I've seen and what I'm reading and the choices I've made for my whole life about my health, that me rushing to try this vaccine doesn't align with those choices. I've never had a flu jab either.
I haven't either.
So,
and I was raised homeopathically, and I was born with no drugs at home. So this is completely in line with my life. It's in line
with your life and your beliefs and all of those
And
things.
I guarantee I've already had COVID because I was in every major airport this year.
Yeah, I mean, you may have done. You may have had COVID, and as you know, I believe that I've had COVID as well. Really, I had that illness, and I haven't been the same
Many
since.
people were sick the January before it was announced in March or whatever.
You know, and so it's not like I'm saying COVID isn't real or I don't believe in vaccines.
Of course it's real. And of course the vaccine is great.
And
everybody get it if you want it.
I hate that that's how I'm labelled for just saying I want to wait. It's so frustrating to me. We've commented, as we were talking about in that one episode where your mum said we're going too spicy for our own stuff. that it's sort of along those lines of everything becoming so black and white and puritanical. And there's something really spooky to me about, even on Instagram, seeing everyone flashing their vaccine cards and like, you know, showing their things.
I did my duty. I'm a good girl. I'm a good boy.
You know, the vaccine check-ins, and then the thing that they have in Instagram, you know, you can swipe up and put pictures and GIFs and all of those things on there is something in me that is haunted by the fact that there's all of this vaccine propaganda.
Me too.
And
there's billboards now. Have you done your part?
Everything. And it's not because I don't believe. It's any propaganda of any kind towards anything immediately makes my instincts go.
This is our live and let live episode. It's exactly, we gave 100 other examples of it.
Yeah.
People just going along with the crowd and posting everything without knowing what they're really
even getting
saying,
put in their bodies. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, and I've seen people go on there as well and say, I really didn't want to do this.
I've
seen people go on really, really torn and basically done it.
But they were being
to stop. Well, because they've had to go back to work. They've had to
because of this company or that company.
Yeah, they've had to go back to their office, or they've had to travel, or they've had to, you know, for all of these other reasons, or they've had to because they are sick of the questions.
Yeah.
And, you know, one girl I know of is an actress, and she literally got it because she was sick of
being treated that way.
Being treated like an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing that drives me mad about it. And so...
Yeah, so it happened to me this week with a situation where the person was telling me that I needed to get it or I wasn't going to be able to do this thing. And I stood my ground. I said, I'm not going... that's a very inappropriate... because they were saying not only you have to get it, but... Why don't you want this?
And also it was said to you, do the right thing.
I hope you're going to do the right thing. And my point was, that's not an appropriate conversation. It's not okay for you to ask me my reasons. If you must know, here's why I feel this way, X, Y, Z. And I'm not doing it. And they went back on it. Yeah. They backed down and they said, okay, you don't need it. You know, I was just curious why you didn't want it.
CDC, other guidelines.
And I said, look, I will follow the CDC guidelines and you can kiss my ass. I'm not doing it. Yes. And I'm not going to be bullied into doing it.
Yeah, I'm not going to be bullied into it.
I'm not going to be peer pressured into something that's my choice for my body.
Yeah, I'll do it when I feel confident in it and not before then.
The nerve.
Sir,
the nerve of some people.
So it started like that for you.
Yeah.
Which is a bit of a spicy way to start the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you moved past that. It was taken back.
Yeah.
You were able to go while practicing CDC guidelines.
Yes.
So you get there. You arrive. You're standing in the field, unvaccinated, raw, dangerous.
In a field, a valley between two large mountains. Holding my lover's hand in a field as my dad's helicopter comes down.
Waving.
Only to be told, your dad didn't know you were coming. Oh.
So he gets out the copter and what happens?
Oh, he was so happy.
Oh, good.
He was so happy. He gave me the biggest hug and met Will for the first time.
How was that?
It was great. They had spoken on the phone back in June because Will called my dad to ask his permission to marry me.
Yeah.
He called 3 of my dads.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, I have a very strange life. I have 2 dads and then Smokey. I don't know if you've heard me talk about Smokey, but Smokey is my dad's bodyguard.
Yeah.
Smokey is my third father. Jim, my Jim dad, I call him, is my stepdad. He's the love of my life, my Jim dad. And then my dad. So Will had his work cut out for him.
Yeah, 3 dads is a lot. Ooh,
he called all 3 of them, which was so sweet of him to call Smokey.
Yeah, really
so
thoughtful.
sweet. So anyway, they had spoken on the phone. My dad gave him a very like Godfather kind of talk where he was like, "Whoa, how are you going to support my daughter? And like, what are you going to do about this? And what are you going to do about that?"
I love that energy.
It was so different from my Jim dad's conversation with him. My Jim dad was like, "She's the most beautiful thing in the world. Have you ever seen her without makeup? When she was 2 years old, she grabbed my leg and looked up at me, and I was just fell in love with her, and I knew I had to marry her mom." Like, she is my...
Whereas your dad's
and then my dad was like giving him, "I'll fucking kill you."
I love that energy. Obsessed.
So
that's how I'm going to be as a parent.
So funny.
I'm going to answer the door with a gun.
My dad had the best time for himself on that phone call. He loved it. He was like playing this role.
The drama.
I could tell he loved it so much. And Will's a musician. My dad's a musician. So he was like giving him a hard time about that. And Will really stood up to him.
Good.
I was so impressed. Will was like, "Well, all due respect, sir, but blah, 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 blah." And would just like throw it back at him. So I think they got along before they ever met. And so, yeah, they met in the field next to this freaking helicopter in the middle of the ocean. It was hilarious. And we spent a couple days together and had some really good talks.
And the 3 of you had to sleep in a...
And we had to sleep. I didn't know what to expect. So we were told to bring sleeping bags and pillows. And I don't do well with spiders, but Will really doesn't do well with spiders. Luckily, they put us in this house that was like an adobe.
Okay.
We had a room. But
you had a dwelling.
Yeah, we had a dwelling with a bathroom. We thought we were going to have to be in like a tent
type
bunk thing. And yeah, we were right next to my dad, and we had really thin walls, and my dad and I always practice the music the night before. Like, we have dinner, and then we'll practice the music before we go to bed, and then we practice again in the morning.
Yeah.
And my dad and I practiced, and he played me some new songs that he's recording. He wrote a really great song during quarantine called "Shit Happens." Mm-hmm. It's really good. And he played me that, and it was so sweet. He gets so excited to show me his music, and his face lights up, and he's like looking at me to see what my reaction is. And anytime we do music together, it's so healing, and it just feels like all is right in the world. It's just everything else goes away.
You guys can connect.
And we can just
in a pure way,
smile and laugh. And I posted a picture on my Instagram, if everybody wants to go look at it, of my dad and I playing together. And someone captured this moment where we're both just beaming.
Yeah.
And it means the world to me.
I love that photo. I've never seen you smile like that. So it was really interesting to see that photo. I showed it to Sarah, and I was like, look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. And then at like 4:30 in the morning, my dad starts playing the piano in his room. Will and I like wake up wide awake. I'm like, God damn it. He doesn't know the walls are so thin. So he plays for like 2 hours, and Will was so mad. But then
it's quite a nice way to wake up.
Yeah, we just it was very healing. It was bittersweet in some ways because we don't speak very often. That's just the nature of our relationship, and I know that's not going to change.
Yeah.
So it was almost like spending time with a ghost.
Wow, yeah.
Is how it felt. Because it was nice to have the talks, and he's always so just hugging me and grabbing me and has got a hand on me or something. He's so sweet with me. But
doesn't go anywhere.
It doesn't go anywhere. So it's like dealing with
it's
the
sort
shadow.
Of out of sight, out of mind with him.
Yeah.
Do you think he does that because he has to almost survive? Does he have anyone close to him except for his wife? Is anyone else super close?
No.
So it is, if you're there, he's locked in.
If you're there, he's locked in. If you push yourself in and make yourself there,
Yeah.
you're there.
You have to fight to
But
get in.
you have to fight to get in, and you have to fight
For your place
for
to
your
stay
place.
there. Okay.
And that's what I had to stop myself from
Yeah, it's
1,000
exhausting.
times.
It can't be done.
Because I
Not a
would
way to
start
live.
to do it, and then I go, no,
No.
we're not doing that. Thank
No.
you.
Well, what did I say to you in the pep talk? I said, no acting, no selling, no persuading. And it was right off of the conversation that we had where you said, I don't like how I sound in the podcast that we did.
Mm.
And I said, have you considered that you're perfect just the way you are?
Yeah.
So go to him with no acting, no selling, no pretending, no trying, with the mindset of all is, in its imperfection, all is perfect. I am perfect. He is perfect.
Yeah, it really helped, Annabelle. It really did. And at the end of the trip, I just hugged him and told him I loved him, and I felt strong.
Good.
And I felt good. I felt proud of myself, and I felt
Good.
powerful as I walked away.
I love that.
And I felt happy. He said, I've never seen you so happy. I'm thrilled. You're beaming. He said, I'm so happy that you found a true partner. I love Will. He kept saying over and over that he loved him. He said, I'm so happy that you're happy, and you've just never looked better. You've never been happier. And I love you. And I said, okay, Dad,
That's so
see
nice.
you soon. And that's it. We talk about this on this show in a lot of different ways about not being able to save your parent, it's not your job to fix your parent, and you don't need to convince anyone that they need to love you.
Yeah.
And I walked away feeling really good about that.
I love that for you. That's such a positive experience because it's so, historically it's been very dicey every time you go to see your dad. It can come out one way, it can come out the other. But now you know that if you hold those boundaries and you go in with the all is perfect mentality and stop yourself from that reflex that you have, you can walk away feeling
convincing,
whole instead of some kind of chipped away at version of yourself.
Exactly.
Trying to be something that you're just not.
Exactly.
And trying to make your dad like you or love you is like shooting into the dark. It's just not gonna do anything but make you feel like crap.
He does love me.
He loves you in his way.
Yeah.
He's rubbish at being the dad that you want him to be. He can't do it. So it's up to you to let go of that.
It is. And in general, I use my dad to discuss these things because that's who I've had these issues with in my life. All of you listening have someone in your life that this applies with. It's like, I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, you're
It's just knowing, I know what I was going to say. Just knowing that you are whole. You're not missing anything. You don't need to grovel. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to convince. The people who love you no matter what. Nothing's going to change that. You don't have to fix anything. You don't have to try. It's there for you.
I mean, they might not like you all the time.
No, I hate you sometimes.
Oh my God.
But we love each other.
I've never hated you.
Nothing you could do could make me. Nothing you could do.
Fuck you. I can't believe you just said you hate me. Do you mean that?
You. No, I don't mean that, you psycho.
I've never hated you.
I've never hated you. Get over it.
Scared me.
So it was a big week. I feel really great. I'm super excited about this television project I've been working on.
So the reason that you have...
I'm checking myself out.
I love that. That's not coming out. That's why we went quiet there, because she just caught a glimpse of herself in my dad's gold record.
My hair is all teased up.
It looks really good. You look like Jackie Kennedy or something.
Yes.
And that's why you look demented, is because you got the camera makeup on.
Yeah.
You're not just walking around Los Angeles with this on.
Yeah, but this character was really fun. Oh my God, it would be so fun to do this show. She talks a mile a minute. So the notes that they gave me in working on it back and forth were AbFab.
Oh, amazing.
So it's AbFab for kids. It's based on
where I'm from, AbFab was for kids.
What's for kids, right? It's pretty spicy.
Very spicy
content.
But in England, everyone, we all
and drinking.
Yeah, we all watched it. It was like a family show.
Yeah, well, luckily I've watched every single episode of AbFab like 100 times, so that really made sense to me. And also, we try not to talk about acting too much on this show because not everybody can relate, but just a little insider. What they were doing on AbFab, and if you've never watched it, do yourself a favor and go watch it on whatever, Amazon. Absolutely Fabulous is what it's called.
It's an English show, and it's
genius.
It's
written by Jennifer Saunders, who also stars in it.
It's Jennifer Saunders, Joanna Lumley.
Yeah. And you take it for granted, but in working on this material this week, what they are doing is so hard. They're talking a mile a minute, and it's a lot of dialogue.
Exhausting.
Were
they ever improvising on AbFab?
That's a good question. It seems like they were.
Feels like it was.
It seems like they were, especially because Jennifer Saunders wrote it, writes the episodes, and she's also starring in it. Of course, they would be throwing in their own stuff.
Yeah.
They're just genius. And I got a whole new respect for what they do because you don't realize how hard that is until you try to go do it. So this character I just played was talking a mile a minute and she's all sing-songy like this and she's blah, 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 and she's not really listening to what the other characters are saying and she's just talking over you and then she's okay, blah, 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 blah. And she's out. And it was like 2 minutes of that. And my notes over and over, like, speed it up, more. And so by the time I had this callback today, it was like beyond a level of anything that was where it had started at all. But then it seems like it was big. But then if you watch AbFab, it seems like normal. So it translates really well to the screen.
Can you imagine how, obviously yes, because you've just done this thing, but how chaotic it feels to do a role like that, and then you watch it back and it makes sense.
It makes sense.
When I was younger, I used to do theatre, and so everything is so much bigger, so much louder, so much more dramatic, because you have to reach the back of the house.
You have to reach the very last seat.
And so it feels crazy what you're doing.
Exactly.
But it makes sense.
It makes sense. And I also got a new appreciation for that, for like a Jim Carrey.
Oh, yeah.
Or a Chris Farley. Or a Kristen Wiig. These people that
God, she's so great.
They have these rubber faces and they are going for it at a level where...
That's such a good expression. Where... A rubber face.
Yeah. Yeah, the only reason that this show won't work out for me is if they're looking for someone with more of a rubber face. I gave it all I could, but... This is a very big character, and there were so many lines. I drilled lines for like 5 hours yesterday.
Yeah,
I made Will drill with me, and I'm trying this new thing that Jay Shetty talks about, where you work for like 20 minutes, and then you rest for 5 minutes.
Yeah, I really believe in that.
And then you work for 20 minutes.
Ryan used to do that.
And you rest your brain for 5 minutes.
It was an hour, and then he would take a lap around, and then go back to work. Take a lap around.
It's so much more efficient. And it really worked for me yesterday. So I would set my timer. I'd say, okay, Will, you're going to drill lines with me. And Will drilling lines is really cute because he's never known an actor before. He did really well. But it had to be really, really quick.
Yeah.
And I did that for so long last night so that when I got in front of that camera today, I could do the work and not be... And it worked. It was flawless. It was just so much fun. And then you can have fun with it. And then you can explore it. And that's what I was so impressed with when I was watching AbFab. I was watching Jennifer Saunders speak this dialogue. And she was so in present time. And she was so in her character. And it's just rattling out of her mouth. You just don't know how hard that really is. You can look at these people and think, oh God, why are they getting paid so much money? Or whatever. You can talk shit about actors who look like they're doing nothing.
They're doing
It's not
something.
easy. It
Yeah.
is not easy. The years of training it takes to get to that level where that's easy
Yeah.
is
I love that. I love that you've had like a new experience.
I did. And I've been theater trained for the last 10 years. I've been doing Shakespeare plays. And everything is cumulative in our lives, right? So an experience you had 6 years ago, you'll call on it today and you'll go, oh, that's why that happened. It's helping me today. If I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have been prepared to do my work here or have this conversation with this person here. And luckily, I had done one of my Shakespeare plays, Comedy of Errors. It was basically you were speeding the dialogue, and it was everything was this, and it was blah 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 blah, and you would memorize it basically as a long monologue because other characters interjecting with you.
But really, it needed to be one unbroken conscious theme,
so that's what this became today. And I thought, look at that. If I hadn't have done Comedy of Errors
you wouldn't.
and spent 6 months on that play, drilling those lines within an inch of my life, this would have been difficult.
It would have been really hard.
Now, this is a television show, and that's a Shakespeare play. And that's why theater training pays off.
Yeah, I mean, all my friends who are actors have all done theatre training. I can't imagine being an actor and not doing theatre training.
I know.
I don't get it. I don't. What did you train for?
Well, there's. I mean, I would say at least half of Hollywood, half of the working actors in Hollywood have not done theater training. Now, it's one thing people you see on a television show.
It must be cultural as well in England. I feel like everyone.
It is cultural. It is cultural, and it's England, and the next best thing is New York. California, embarrassing. They don't value theater training here. They are now more because the industry has changed, and they really are impressed by theater training now. But it didn't used to be like that.
It gives you a depth of experience, and it gives you so much more range and so much more understanding of,
does.
You know, your physicality and stuff. I think when you have to do theatre,
it's very physical.
You have to reach the back of the house, but also it's depending on how you're doing it. Are you doing theatre in the round? What shape is the room? All of those things. How the set is, how you're moving. It's not just as though with camera work where this is a set, it's immovable. Yeah. You're kind of part of the set in theatre.
Yeah, you have a whole world around you that you can explore.
You have to be conscious of how everyone's seeing
exactly,
it.
And where your voice is being carried.
And I think that's probably so valuable as an actor.
It really is. I felt it today so much. And it's so different than television. The training is the same. You don't have to train for one or the other. But you need to understand the different mediums because like I did Criminal Minds and Joe Mantegna directed my episode and starred in it also. And he comes from theater. Yeah. But when I got on set and I was playing the cop, the speaking is at this level. You're whispering and it feels like you're whispering. Again, it's the opposite of what we're saying where it feels weird to be big. It felt so strange to be down here and be whispering. But when you see it on the screen, you go, holy shit, that works. Yeah. That works. Yeah. And so it takes a lot of imagination. That's the actor's job, is that imagination. You have to imagine the world that's going to be built around you. Because when you audition for it, you're in your living room or an office with white walls, but you have to pretend like a dinosaur's chasing you.
Because that's how they're seeing it. The people who are hiring you are imagining that too. Well, they have to be able to.
They don't really have imaginations that much.
They have to be able to see you in that context.
That's right. And so you have to be able to see you in that world. And that's why
you believe it.
Being an actor,
you believe that you can be there, that you belong there.
It's being a lifelong kid.
It's interesting that you just said about the callback thing, because it made me think about a conversation I had this week with a friend about therapy and how this friend of mine dots around therapists and dots around people. So she gets to a point and then the drawbridge goes up and then I'm moving on.
That's a defense mechanism.
And she does it with friends as well. And
she's afraid that if people get into a deep enough level, they'll leave her.
I don't know what it is.
Well, I identify with that.
You can identify with that, Sophie. That's what it is. And asked her questions because I didn't want to sit there and say, well, this is ridiculous. You need to stay in therapy, and here's why you need to be with this person, and do my...
Were you mother henning
thing. So I stopped myself in the way that you did with your dad.
Yeah.
And I said, no. And I began to ask questions. Could you tell me why you feel that maybe you do that? Well, and then everything she said gave me the opportunity to ask another question. And by the end of the chat, I had been able to get my point across without henpecking, without scolding, without mothering.
Because you were asking questions.
I allowed her
such a
to
good way to handle
answer
it.
her shit herself. And the callback thing, the reason why that's relevant is because the question asking allowed her to say, well, I didn't have to explain to this last therapist about anything to do with this one situation because she had known me before the situation. And I said, so you do see value in keeping a therapist on who knows your backstory? And she went, yeah, I suppose I do. I should call her. I'm going to go. I said, why don't you just go once a month or whatever? And what you just said made me think of that because it's such a thing actually in so many walks of life. That is a relevant thing about laying down the groundwork for something, practicing, as I did with Ryan's wedding ring. I imagined how it would feel in my hand. I imagined running it across my lips. I imagined how it was going to look on my side table where I keep it next to my bed. You did the Shakespeare, so you were ready to play that role. I held the ring, so I was ready to see the ring.
Yeah.
She put the time in, even though it went against her wanting to pull the drawbridge up. So she's now able to go back and she doesn't have to explain a thing.
Yeah, you get these things inside of you so that they're there.
Seeds. These are the
so you can draw from them when you need to.
Of your life.
Yeah.
And
I love that. The seeds of your life.
Those, how we were talking last week about nesting, and I said, I've realised from this conversation I need to nest outside.
Yeah.
But I also now need to start nesting inside.
Yeah.
And what I've just said about the seeds is kind of connecting to that for me. Is that, sure, some of the seeds from before the crash have, unfortunately, the soil is no longer viable. But some of the stuff's still there. Some of the...
Yeah, it's not a total loss.
No, some of the life is still there. And some of those seeds are still there. And some of them haven't come through yet. But they were there before. And I think that that's such a valuable lesson for me from a emotional standpoint. You saying from your work perspective, but also with your dad.
Yeah.
These two things are interlinked. The fact that you had this realization about your acting in tandem with the realization about the podcast, which led you to behave differently with your dad, which led us to have the conversation where I said to you, you are perfect, all is perfect.
There are no accidents.
These are all seeds from before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it took you really having to tend to them over that weekend.
Yes.
You're never going to have to work that hard again on that. That was your first crop.
Yeah.
That was your first crop from that tree.
I feel like I reaped a crop, yeah.
From that tree, that was your first crop. And that little seed has been waiting to break through with you and your dad all of this time. And you fucking done it.
Yeah.
So well done you.
Thank you. It's been a powerful week.
That's all I want to talk about. I just wanted to go you about your Illuminati.
Jesus, I don't want to end this. I don't want to end this recording because she's gonna go. She's never gonna stop.
So many questions for you.
All right, well, you guys, I gotta go because I have to go answer her questions. But we love you. We'll see you next time.
Love you.
Mwah.
Bye.
Wheels on fire, rolling.